Here's what's coming up on the Fitz Take Podcast.
Gentlemen, welcome to the first round of the college football playoffs.
Round one of the college football playoffs had big wins for some and disappointment for others. We'll talk about if the matchups lived up to the hype. Plus, Michael Vick is stepping into the coaching ranks. How will he fare as a head coach? And there's always heat on the media in the sports world. We're talking about the realities of working in the sports media. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into yet another episode of the Fitz Take Podcast. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you know you can always call me Fitz. He is your guy, Elijah Nixon, a.k.a. E-Money, a.k.a. Eli, a.k.a. a fellow Connecticut. Somebody that's from the area where the UConn Huskies are, the team that lost to USC the other night, and all that good stuff. So, guys, thank y'all so much. Thus far, we've made it to 325 subscribers on YouTube. If you're not a subscriber, this is your first time watching us, please hit the bell down below. It's very important that you do that because currently we are having a $50 gift card giveaway. We're trying to do it in time for the holidays, but y'all not subbing. So y'all must not want no Christmas gift. I'm trying to make sure that y'all taken care of for the holidays and the new year. All you have to do is subscribe to the Fitz Take Podcast YouTube channel, and then comment under any of our social media pages or comment somewhere where we can see it, DM us, whatever, where we can see that you are a subscriber, showing proof of your subscription. And then once you do that, we will announce the winner when we reach 400 subscribers. We're at 325. So the more of y'all cousins y'all tell to sub, the sooner that you can get that gift card before the year is over. So we would greatly appreciate that. Also, go down in the description of this video, follow myself, Elijah, and my production company, One Way Productions, on all of our social media platforms. We would greatly appreciate that. And then if you are a listener of podcasts, you don't like to watch it, or if you're driving and you just want to listen in what we've got to say, go to any of the podcast apps except for Apple, because Apple is playing games and I don't know why, but you can go anywhere, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of that good stuff, and listen to us in all of those different places. So, Elijah, how was your week, man?
It was pretty good, man. It was pretty good. You start off with a couple of things, hearing about some sports news, of course, that we're going to get on some topics of today. Then it ends with the Rams winning on Sunday. So I mean, it was
barely. It was my God.
Barely. Jeez, I was a little stressed out. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little stressed out. But seeing that and seeing some some very great finishes in the NFL games, I think it was a pretty cool week. It was a really cool week.
Good, man. That's good. Yeah, I mean, like you said, we'll get into it later. The working life was pretty hectic, but now we get a little bit of time off with the holidays coming up. So that's a positive. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's hop right into take number one. It is our first play, talking about the first ever 12-team college football playoffs. And, man, it was disappointing, to say the least. To start off on that Friday night, you had Indiana and Notre Dame to play. Obviously, the score is not indicative of how the game looked. Notre Dame came out on top 27-17. I think at one point, Notre Dame was up like 27-3, and then Indiana came back and finally was able to put something together in the last 6 minutes of the game. Saturday, the 11 a.m. kick, Penn State beats SMU 38-10, and then in the 2:30 slot, Texas beats Clemson 38-24, and then in the nightcap, Ohio State wins 42-17. All of the home teams won, and then I think every game except for the Texas game, temperatures were extremely cold, and a lot of the teams that came out decided to warm up with no shirts on, I guess to show that it ain't cold. We good. We ain't worried about none of the elements or nothing like that. But these games sucked. I can't lie. This was very underwhelming. It's very seldom that I myself get an opportunity. I can't speak for Elijah all the time, but I rarely get to sit down for a full Saturday and just be like, let me watch from 11 to the 7 o'clock game. And I sat down and got me some food, and I was just like, okay, SMU. I'm not surprised terribly by this. Maybe that middle game, Texas and Clemson. I'm like, Texas came out there, BTA, and then at night game, Ohio State came out there and BTA. And man, just a lot of disappointment. Elijah, what was your thoughts on these games? And Lane Kiffin got out and said that, the committee basically got this wrong and all that stuff like that. But what do you think of this past weekend's college football first round playoff games?
I don't think Lane Kiffin is right. I mean, I don't think he got it wrong, but I do think this. Is it the first round that we all wanted to see? Absolutely not. The teams that were out with the Alabamas, the Ole Miss, they had a chance to control their destinies. They didn't control it very well, and that left us. You know what? I'm gonna say this: Alabama, this is your fault. Ole Miss, this is your fault. LSU, this is your fault. Because if we was trying to find some entertainment, which could have been there, and you guys handled business how you supposed to handle business, we wouldn't have seen SMU, wouldn't have seen Indiana, and we wouldn't have probably seen Tennessee. So what I'm telling you right now is that this is your fault because we look forward to the first round because it was the first ever, and the first ever was the worst ever because we didn't want to see that. We didn't want to see those outcomes. Now I think the second round will be more well played out. Besides one matchup, I think everybody else will have well-rounded games because Georgia and Notre Dame I think will be great. I think Oregon and Ohio State with the second their second round matchup, second time meeting this season. I think that would be great. I think Arizona State they're playing. I think Arizona State is playing. Who's Arizona State playing?
Arizona State is facing off with Texas.
Texas. I think.
Man, I don't know about that one.
I think that'll be better than what people think because I like Arizona State's coach. I think he can scheme up some things. I'm not a big fan of Steve Sarkisian. I think he has the most talented team, but I don't think he's a great coach. But then you got Boise State and Penn State, which I don't see lasting more than a quarter. So I think we have a better slate of second round games. But this one is far more disappointing. I didn't like any of it because it wasn't competitive. I'm not saying those teams didn't belong there. It just wasn't what we thought would be how the college football playoffs should start off, especially for the first time that we ever tuned into it. So that's it.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, you look at the Indiana and Notre Dame game, and God, like at the expense of Notre Dame fans attacking for what I'm about to say, man. Like I've never put on a Notre Dame game in my entire life and said, "Man, this is exciting. This is electrifying offense." It's always okay. Notre Dame won the game, and that's how it was. Indiana kind of was just there. It was a moment in the game. I believe it was like a 4th and 11. What is the Indiana's coach, Carnelli or something like that? And people were saying like, why didn't he go for it? Because they couldn't get anything going and they were essentially down. And I think in post game he said that our defense couldn't stop anything or something like that. He was saying it's just a whole bunch of like rough things in this one. Then you turn around and, like I said, the 11 o'clock game, SMU, after having one of their best performances, even though they lost in the ACC championship, they come out and have one of their worst performances at the worst time that you could possibly have it, is when you are win and go home. And Penn State, played extremely well. They did what they needed to do to come out on top and get the victory, a 28-point victory at that. Texas and Clemson, like score-wise, it had the most excitement for sure, but you could clearly tell that Texas was just the better team in this one. And then Ohio State and Tennessee, they did unheard of things to them. Tennessee just didn't look prepared. They didn't look like they deserved to be there. They had earned the right to be in that position, but they didn't look like they deserved it to be there because the fight that they put up just didn't cut it. And people will say that weather doesn't make a factor into it, and in most cases it doesn't until you make it a mental thing. because I had a coach tell me a long time ago that, most of this game is 90% mental. I think the aspect of going out with the no t-shirt on and all that stuff like that, like you're making it a thing mentally in your head of trying to prove it's not cold. Like, bro, who cares if it's cold or not? Go play the game. Go play the game. Because at the end of the day, if you a real athlete and you really know, once you get out there and your adrenaline is pumping, you're gonna start sweating. You might not sweat as much, but your body is gonna warm up. You're still gonna have some kind of body heat. The only time that you get cold is when you get back over to the sideline. So don't worry about all the. Stop taking your t-shirt off and doing all this stuff. All right, go out there and play the game. I get the message that you're trying to send, but when you get into these mental mind games of trying to show your opponent that we're not scared of the environment, bro, they don't care. Obviously, all the cold weather. Penn State didn't care. Ohio State didn't care. Like none of those teams cared. It's cold. Yeah, let's play ball. Put the ball down, line up and play. So hopefully, the next week, the quarterfinal round will be a lot better. The first one will be Tuesday, December 31st, as Boise State and Penn State will play in the Fiesta Bowl at 6:30. And then the following day on New Year's Day, Arizona State and Texas go at it at noon on ESPN in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which that is always my favorite bowl game because Chick-fil-A goes above and beyond to prove that they are the title sponsor with the amount of food that they give out to the working media. Shout out to Chick-fil-A. The 4:00 slotted game, Oregon and Ohio State. That should be a really good one in a rematch. That one will be at 4 on ESPN, and then the night game at 7:45. These might be Eastern times that I'm reading, but the night game will be Georgia and Notre Dame, where Notre Dame has an opportunity to finally get the haters out of their ear and prove to them we can compete with the big dogs. Literally, you're facing off with the dogs, and you got a chance to face off with them. That one will be in the Sugar Bowl. Oregon and Ohio State will be in the Rose Bowl. So hopefully we get a whole lot better action in those matchups.
Hope so, man.
Hope so, because I would cut the TV off. Like, and this is no slight to any women's basketball, but I completely changed because I had like the YouTube TV dual screens and all this stuff like that. So I had women's basketball, the UConn and USC game up with the Tennessee Ohio State game. I took that off. I said, let me just look at women's basketball because this is way better than what I'm looking at on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. But let's go ahead and make some forward progress and go into take number 2 as A'ja Wilson, one of the faces of the WNBA, gets a extension with Nike. The Las Vegas Aces star, a 3-time WNBA MVP and 2-time league champion, is signing a 6-year extension with Nike in one of the richest shoe deals for a women's basketball player. The news comes after Wilson was named to the Nike's roster of signature athletes in May and announced the launch of her signature shoe, the A1, which will be released in spring of 2025 prior to the WNBA season. Wilson's new deal ranks among the highest paid shoe endorsements in the sport, alongside those of 2024 WNBA number 1 overall draft pick Caitlin Clark, USC star Juju Watkins, and Liberty standout Sabrina Ionescu. Earlier this year, Clark reportedly signed an 8-year contract, well over $20 million plus potential bonuses with Nike. Watkins also agreed to a multi-year contract extension with the footwear giant in October. Ionescu debuted her second signature shoe, which gained popularity in the NBA, with Nike this spring. So, Elijah, obviously women's sports has seemed to come into the light even more so within the last 3 to 4 years, I would say, especially with players like Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, A'ja Wilson, and all of those players, Caitlin Clark, get into the mix, into the league. What does this say about, A'ja getting this type of deal? What does that say about the trajectory of where women's sports is going, and just how great is it to see another woman getting her bag, man?
I enjoy it. It's just saying that, there's money to go get out there and sponsorships are pouring in into the WNBA. I mean, I know A'ja Wilson, I think, is the best WNBA player that's out right now. Um, her setting that trend setting the market for people. I think that's pretty cool. Next I expect to see Breonna Stewart to follow up. I expect to see, like you said, Caitlin Clark, the Angel Reese's, them to follow up. I expect to see more of this going on because at the end of the day, they lace them up and play just as much. I know some people may look at it like, okay, this is new. I mean, they've been balling for a while now. You just name some names back in the day that was out there. So again, it's like I'm happy that they get the notoriety that they deserve. So, with that being said, man, Asia Wilson, I want to say like this is going to bring a lot of weight on your shoulders. The weight of the WNBA, NBA is going to be on your shoulders. It's going to, because with companies now investing into it, and not saying they haven't in the past, but the deal that you're getting, now they expect that this to be a trend, following the trend of you. They expect whatever you do is what they're going to do after they get their money. So this is the first piece of pressure I think Ava Wilson's going to have when it comes to corporate wise, and I can't wait to see how she takes it because at the end of the day, man. It comes with the territory. So you, I'm not saying you go out there and get technical fouls or you go out there and get ejected. You don't. But everything they're going to do is they're going to judge you now because you got that bag. So I'm waiting to see how you lead because I think you can be a leader. I know I know what you're capable of. So I just can't wait to see how you do this and you turn around the WNBA with you being the face of it right now. So to continue to pave the ways for the Angel Reese, the Caitlin Clarks, the Paige Bukers who's coming in next year, Juju Smiths,
Juju Watkins, boy. This
Watkins.
man to come and Paige Becker's god dog, boy.
Paige is Bukers. Is it Bukers?
Beckers. The U in it is silent.
Beckers, yeah, Paige Beckers. So I'm waiting to see how this all goes, man. And Aaliyah Boston's in the league as well, so she's there. So I'm waiting to see how this all plays out for other athletes in the league.
Absolutely, man. One, it says that corporate America is discovering what's already been out there, which is that women can hoop too. Like, it's some real deal hoopers out there. You know what I'm saying? Asia Wilson has the league in a chokehold right now with the way she's been playing. The Aces, were a very dominant team. Obviously, they didn't win the championship this year, but she is the face of the league. And so, a player like that caliber will always garner major attention from major brands. And a place like Nike is considered the flagship of a lot of big brands that are out there when it comes to shoes. So I'm truly excited for her to get that opportunity to get a signature shoe because not everybody gets that type of opportunity. There are players that are in the league, they've talked about so many times of, how hard it is to stay on a WNBA roster and the travel ways that they've had to do it, that they don't, have team chartered flights and all that stuff like that. So I think that it's getting a lot better for the league as they continue to progress. But now that these signature shoes are coming out, like Angel Reese, has one, I think, coming out in, I think it said either 2025 or 2026, that she has a signature shoe coming out. You got a Caitlin Clark with a shoe out. They said Sabrina Ionescu has her second one out already. The same way that we like this is on us now as the consumer. The same way that we support a LeBron, a Kyrie, a KD, a Kobe, a Jordan, we got to go and support these women as well, so they can continue to get what they rightfully deserve. Because if we don't, it's all about supply and demand. Just because they put a shoe out, if it don't sell, then they're going to take it off the shelves and they're going to stop making it, which means, yes, she'll make her money that she's given in her contract, but the opportunity to have another signature deal or another signature shoe further down the line, it goes down the drain if the consumer don't buy it. So I will definitely be looking forward to seeing what the shoes look like. And if they got your boy size, I'm going to have to pull up on them and see what kind of color schemes they got with it, man. Because, I mean, you can talk a big game as somebody that says I support women's sports and all that stuff like that. But are you watching the content? Are you watching the games? Are you going to the games? Are you, as a media member, are you covering the games? Are you giving them opportunities to be covered when they are being successful? And even when they're not being successful, are you still shedding light to the things that they're doing? So congratulations to Asia Wilson. And sue me, I'm always gonna root for anybody black. I always love that, man. So congratulations to her for her deal, and we'll be looking forward to see who gets the next one, who continues to set the market. Because I think if Caitlin Clark got well over 20, I'm sure that hers is close to touching 30. So the market is going to continue to go up, and as the demand for those signature shoes are there, they're going to have to supply it, which means that they're going to draw in more revenue, which means that these girls or these women are going to get even better deals. So we love to see it. Hopefully one day, if I have a little daughter and she decides to be a hooper, maybe you're going to get you a signature shoe too, just like Age Wilson. Uh, with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's move forward and get on the plane and fly on out with take number 3. And we're talking about the coaching carousel that has been happening. We saw Bill Belichick officially become the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. And now in the HBCU ranks, Mike Vick, yes, that Mike Vick becomes the head football coach of Norfolk State in a very shocking development that nobody, I think, truly expected, kind of coming out of left field. I know recently we saw Ed Reed become the head coach of Bethune-Cookman for, I think, all of a week. I think Eddie George is the head coach at Tennessee State right now. Dion obviously went to Jackson State a couple years ago. But Michael Vick is venturing into the coaching world. The former NFL and Virginia Tech star is set to become the next head coach at Norfolk State. Vick's name came up in connection with multiple college coaching jobs this week. Norfolk State emerging as an option on Monday. But he also held talks with Sacramento State. Obviously, he played in the NFL 01, 06, and then 09 to 15. But he doesn't have any formal coaching experience. In 2019, he briefly served as an advisor to the Atlanta Legends in the AAF, but otherwise has never been involved in coaching. That will now change as he takes over Norfolk State. So, Elijah, as we look at the different type of people that we've seen get coaching opportunities, I think one of the only other people that I've seen that get a job like this or an opportunity was Jeff Saturday. He got the interim gig with the Colts a couple of years ago. Is this a good thing that we're seeing more former players become interested in the coaching ranks? Is it also something where they kind of, because of their name, they get to skip the line and, get an opportunity as a head coach? What does this say with Mike Vick getting this opportunity?
I think it's great because I think Michael Vick played the game really well, and I think he was an inspiration to all the guys that's playing it, most of the guys that's playing it now, especially the quarterback position. But Mike getting a chance to show what he can do on the mental side of the game, because we always talk about how athletic he was, or how fast he was, or how talented he was. We never talked about the mental aspect of it. So I say this is a challenge to him to prove that he's really intellectual with the game of football. And I'm happy that he's getting a chance, especially where he's from out there in Virginia, to try to lead those guys to hopefully what could be a championship or even more that program can offer. Now, with that being said, him, Eddie George, like you said, Ed Reed was a coach for 20 seconds, but he bounced. But Dion had a chance to, which he did, get Jackson State to 2 championship games before he got out of there. These guys, all meant something to the game of football, and they pour back into the game of football, especially with the HBCUs that they're starting at, and I think that's pretty awesome. I don't know if this will be the final stop for Mike if he has plenty of success and years go by, maybe 2 years, he jumps up to University of Virginia or whatever. But I'm happy that he's getting the chance that he has because I think that with a name like that, you can probably. I'm not saying Virginia State, Norfolk State is going to out recruit West Virginia, Virginia, Marshall, and all those other places out there. But I think he gets some names and caliber guys to show what the vision that he has for the team and help them get into the win column and hopefully win the championship out there. So I'm interested to see how it happened. I'm happy for him, especially with the stuff that he had to deal with off the field years ago. He getting a second chance to not only lead a college football team, but hopefully try to lead young men to not make the same mistakes that he did as he was in the NFL and try to give those life lessons the same way Deion is doing when he was at Jackson State and now currently with Colorado. So I can't wait to see how it happens with him.
No doubt, man. For me, my answer is kind of twofold. One, I am excited that Mike Vick is getting the opportunity to get into coaching because, a lot of people always question the black quarterback and they say that, oh, he's just athletic and he can just get out and run real fast. But he can't read a defense. He doesn't understand coverages. He can't understand the game of football. He doesn't know how to break down film, all of those things like that. So he truly will have the opportunity to like show what he knows about the game. He's already, shown a little bit in the role as an analyst with Fox. But now he gets the chance to do it in coaching. Now, in that, coaching is also a completely different realm because now it's not just about you being able to say, okay, this is cover 3, this is cover 6, this is cover 2, this is cover 4, blah, 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 blah. This is how it looks. It's being able to say all of those things and then everybody that's on your team can comprehend it and then go and regurgitate the information between the white lines and being able to motivate them to where when it doesn't look like that and the plays don't happen or they don't get the results that they like, to be able to keep motivating them to keep showing up and working hard and trying to get the best possible result that they can for their university. So it is going to be a task where he will be given an opportunity to show what he can do as a coach and how he is as a teacher and a leader of men. We've already seen how he can lead men on the field, physically playing. But now how do you do it when, okay, you call the play, but now you can't run it. So when the pocket breaks down, you can't go and scramble for a 40-yard run. Your quarterback got to have the wherewithal and the mindset to be able to get that done. How can he be able to regurgitate that information to his players? Now, the second part to my answer is, as happy as I am for him, and I am going to root for him, hoping that he gets all the recognition that he can, not only for himself so he can move forward in his career, but also for that university because HBCU football, like I said with Asia Wilson, HBCU football, there are some talented guys in that rank just as much as there is at Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, LSU, and all of those other places. But the other side to this is I know that there are probably some assistants out there that have been in the wings waiting for their opportunity to get a head coaching job and probably feel slighted just a little bit. I hope what Mike is able to do is put people on and put people in position to where, honestly speaking, bro, we know that man is probably not going to be the head coach at Norfolk State longer than 3 to 4 years, right? I hope that he puts people on his staff to where it can be closely similar, not the exact same thing as what Deion did at Jackson State, where he left, and it's documented on video because I know people are going to troll and say Deion didn't endorse TC Williams, but it's on video of him saying, I want TC to be the head coach. TC takes over. Jackson State wins the HBCU National Championship this season, right? That continues to put a good team that was already good, that was put more in the spotlight because of the star that came in and led the way, that was able to continue to grow as they moved along down the line, even though Deion is no longer there and he's somewhere else. 2 places being able to succeed in the same way. I hope that Mike comes in and is able to do that he's able to find assistants within the HBCU ranks or assistants that are trying to come up and become a head coach one day and put them on and say, come be my offensive line coach. Come be my offensive coordinator. Come be my running backs coach. Come teach these guys how to be the best tight end, not only in HBCU football, but in the country. And then using the resources and connections that he has because he's played in the NFL, because he's worked for Fox and major TV networks to get eyeballs put in Norfolk State, at Norfolk State, to where guys can get opportunities, guys can be able to get drafted, and it continues to shed light on what has already been very evident, which is that there are talented athletes playing in the HBCU ranks. So congratulations to Mike Vick. But I do think this is an opportunity, a huge opportunity for him to put people on, because it's one thing to get yours. It's another thing to get yours so you can make sure that other people eat all at the same time. So we shall see what he does in the coming weeks. what it will look like in the recruiting ranks. That's another thing I wanted to ask, though. Like, how do you think he will do recruiting? Like, will it be a Travis Hunter type athlete that he gets, or do you think it will be more of him being able to develop and get the best out of some of the guys that's already there?
I think he'll be able to, excuse me. I think he'll be able to develop and get the best out of the guys that's already there. I don't think he's going to get a Travis Hunter. He's not going to get a quarterback that was similar to Shador. I mean, they're going to probably have similar traits, but not as good as Shador. Dion actually walked into the situation of the luxury of having his sons, and then his sons help recruit too. I don't see the same thing with Mike. I think Mike is just going to sit there and try to develop of what he has, and hopefully it works out. And like you said, man, I just hope that it works out for him, because like if he does put him in a winning position for the 2 years that he's there, 3 years, whatever, how long he's there, of course other schools are going to be knocking at the door. So I just think that he's going to have I think he's going to have a time of his life developing and helping them get to the spots that they need to be at. So I don't think he's going to get a 5-star, 4-star. I think the most he'll probably get is a 3 or 2, and he'll go from there.
I think somebody's gonna follow him, man. I think that it might not be a Travis Hunter, but there will be at least 1 or 2, 4 or 5 stars that come there simply off the fact that I have the opportunity to coach or play under somebody that went where I'm trying to go. Like, that alone is a draw in itself. What he does with that is to be seen. So, and you could tell that he was passionate about it on the Fox broadcast in the pregame show when they were talking about it. He started tearing up and said that he was just truly excited to get the opportunity to lead these young men. So you can tell that these guys, they get these opportunities, really are truly grateful for it. So congratulations to Mike, and we will keep our eyes out to see what he does in the future. Now, guys, we are going to round out the show as we always do with the Fitz Take. This week has been very interesting in our work environment. As you know, or if you don't know, I'm a sports reporter in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I work at a TV station. Elijah also works at that same TV station as a hybrid, working in both news and in sports. And this week was very, very interesting because it shows the reality of what it is like and what happens in working in the sports media world. So Monday, I cover the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, and it's now basketball season as football season is kind of winding down. So Monday they have media availabilities where we were able to have interviews with the head coaches of whatever teams that they bring. During football season is football and soccer that come up and talk every single week, and volleyball that come up and talk every single week. Because of the type of schedule that I keep and being a one-person sports department, so to speak, I'm not always able to get to those Monday availabilities because I might have something else. So the past couple of weeks I hadn't been there, right? So I went and I spoke with the head coach. Again, it's a formal press conference, so there are other media members there in the room. Louisiana men's basketball at the time was 2-9 on the season. And so I asked the question to the head coach, Bob Marlin. I asked him, Coach, why should fans continue to support this team, your staff, and also you as the leader of this team? And I've been doing this long enough to where I can understand like how coaches are and what kind of ways I can ask a question to get some type of answer out of them. Obviously, when you start off 2-9, people start saying fire the coach. But Coach Marlin has been with UL for 15 seasons, and he's had success. He is the winningest coach in the program's history, and he's the winningest coach in the conference. So that alone should give him grace of, all right, this ain't no good year, but maybe we could get this turned around. So when I asked him that question in thinking that he would say something along the lines of, hey, guys, we know this is really ugly right now, but we are going to continue to fight. And if you continue to stick with us, we are going to get this turned around. We're going to get on a hot streak. We're going to win the conference tournament and go to the NCAA tournament. some passionate answer. That is not what happened. Coach Moreland, in a way I can understand, got defensive and said that they're fans. They're going to support us. They always support us. And he said, I know sometimes you want to be negative, but we're not negative. And then he asked me, were you at the game last Saturday? In that game, the Cajuns had played against Lamar and they lost by 29. I said no. But unbeknownst to him, I was in New Orleans or driving back from New Orleans from the state championship games that were happening for high school. And so he said, I know you weren't there. I didn't think so. You weren't at a bunch of them, right? So that happens. Again, I went and I asked that question, hoping to get some kind of passionate answer. I got one, right? Because I wanted to, because I feel like our job as the media is to not only present the truth, but to almost be a springboard for whatever player or coach, whatever message they want to get out there. If you want to say my opponent sucks, say it in front of this microphone. You have the opportunity to do that. That's we have the chance to do that. So it's not only about us presenting truth, but us allowing people to speak their own truth in a way, right? So the video gets out, it gets posted, and it goes semi-viral within the market. Everybody's talking about it. And then the Cajuns played Wednesday. They played in their first Sun Belt conference game of the season, and I was in the house. The Cajuns win the game, right? So then we're in post game, and I asked Coach Marlin a question afterwards, and I said, "How dangerous can this team be?" Jokingly, he said, "We could be pretty good if you keep showing up. We're 1-0, right?" Afterward, me and him shook hands. He said it's all good, whatever. Since then, me and Coach Marlin have talked. We said happy holidays, Merry Christmas to each other. Like, it's all good. So I want to go on record saying me and Bob Marlin do not have no beef. And that's the last time I'm going to address that, because people have been on social media saying, oh, man, yeah, making jokes of it and all this stuff of, what's that meme where it's like I showed up to my biggest hater's funeral just to make sure he was dead. People like tweeting all this stuff. I got no beef with that man. I've been working here in this market for 4 years. Coach Marlin was one of the first coaches that I met, and he had high praises for me. He's had high praises all the way through. It happens, and that's a reality in the sports media world. So this story continues. We get to Thursday. I'm at the house chilling. Bob Marlin gets fired. And I'm shocked because now, again, with the way social media is, the video is out there. People are saying, is this what got Bob Marlin fired? All of those things like that. So I got to get on TV and talk about it. We talk about him getting fired on Thursday. Friday, the athletic director, Brian Maggart, gets up and he speaks to the media and tells us what happened. So what happened was on Monday afternoon, Coach Marlin had a very messed up Monday because after my question, Q&A that afternoon, him and Dr. Maggart sat down and had a conversation in which he was given two choices, whether Maggart decided that he wanted to go in a different direction. He gave him the option to either retire. They would announce his retirement on Thursday, and he would coach the rest of the season. They would kind of give him a last dance victory lap type of season, and he would be able to finish out his tenure, and it would end on June 30th. The second option, that he would take his buyout and that he would cut his losses and be let go. Coach Marlin chose the latter. He said, I don't want no victory tour. I'm getting out of here. Okay. So it was a very interesting news cycle all in 1 week. And the reality of all of this is that there are some instances where we got to ask some tough questions, bro. And that is a legitimate question that I asked him. And I think that he truly understands with the place that it comes from, that it was not intended in malice at all, as I said before. right? But sometimes we have to ask those questions because y'all, as people, the viewers, fans, have those same questions. And my job as a reporter, if I got my ears to the street and I'm hearing people say, man, we not happy, we want a coaching change, I got to ask, Coach, do you feel like you're coaching for your job? Do you feel like you're getting the same support from the fans that you originally were? Those are tough questions that I have to ask because I get paid for it. But he get paid to answer those tough questions the same way that he get paid to win ball game. That goes across all sports. I've had to ask tough questions after losses. Like I remember Coach Dez, the first season that he took over fully as head coach, and they had the nation's longest standing win streak, and they went to Rice and they lost the game. And I think I asked him something along the lines of, where does the blame fall for their offensive performance in that game? He said it fully falls on me. That's a tough question I had to ask. And he had to answer that tough question. So the reality of working in sports media, bro, is that sometimes you got to ask the tough questions. Now, I'm not the type of person, I'm not running to ask that question every single time. Because I know somebody else in the room will ask it. Now, if I see that they don't, I got to ask it. I'm not running to the front of the line to be Mr. Negative to say, do you think you're getting fired? Because you do got reporters out there that they ask them questions for clickbait. They get in front of the camera. They get in these rooms in press conferences, banging on their chest, trying to be the one to go viral every single time. You do have reporters that do that, right? I ain't one of them guys. I just want to tell stories, tell the truth, and allow people to share their truths. That's all it is. And do it in a way where we can all be respectful. And at the end of the day, you go to your house, I go to my house. That's it. So yeah, Elijah was kind of seeing a lot of this stuff secondhand. What is your perspective of as being a reporter? I don't know if you have any similar instances where you've had to deal with tough experiences like this. But what is your scope of the reality of working in the sports media world?
Like you said, man, there's fans of these teams and they want to know the answers just as much as we want to know. I mean, it goes back to that clip. I don't know the guy's name, but it was at a Denver basketball game, the Denver Nuggets, and the guy asked, "Hey, is such and such playing today?" I don't know. Let me ask. Hey, are you playing today? He was like, "Yeah, he's playing today." You know, there's your answer like that. We have that luxury to do that. You know, I know with the fans aspect because they're not actually getting paid to report and be media. They just have a bunch of questions that they would like to ask, and that's what really generates our stories. Our stories is basically coming off of the fans and the wanting to know. So like you said, man, I never really had that experience, but it is a tough thing to go through. But what I'm gonna say is that I'm happy that people get to see it that came out of the league and now doing it now with the Matt Barnes, the Ryan Clarks, the Steven Jacksons. They have to sit down and do this stuff now because at the end of the day, they can't just sit there and just talk about locker room stories all the time. Because if we just telling that, we okay, like that's cool, ha ha. But we gotta ask why Kawhi not on the court right now? Like, what are you doing? You gotta ask that. So at the end of the day, I'm happy that the new media gets to see it. I'm happy that you got to share what happened because a lot of people did think that you were the reason, and you had this thing about you that was like, yeah, he's out of here. Jamarcus isn't like that. He wasn't nobody. Nobody was calling for that man's job. We was thinking Marlon was going to be around no matter what. We thought he at least had a couple of more years to finish out his contract and things of that nature. Of course, Dr. Maggart thought otherwise, and it happened. So um, I'm happy that people get to see how media really is and how it works, and uh, that's really it, man. I have no negative things to say about it. It just it's the way the cookie crumbles here. So.
It is. And while I had this moment too, I want to go on record to say, like, Maggart mentioned that one of the reasons that he wanted to make this change was because he saw the decline from fan support. So, to the fans of Cajun Nation, stop buying them tickets and not going to them games. Stop buying them tickets and not going to the games. Go to the games. You've been asking to get this man fired, and by no means am I saying that Bob Marlin should have been fired. I was not calling for that man's job. I wish him the best. I hope he take that buyout and go on the beach and have a Merry Christmas. But now that y'all got what you've been asking for, go to the games. Same way I told y'all to show up for that Sun Belt Championship game for the football team in December. Well, we still in December, but at the beginning of December. The same way, y'all need to show up for these teams. Because, bro, at the end of the day, it's the bottom line. If we ain't making no money, somebody got to answer for this. So, him being an athletic director, looking at the fact that people were saying, oh, I'd go to the game if we'd have a different coach. He said, well, we got to get a different coach. So now, and, you know, they played McNeese on Sunday as we're recording this episode. I don't know what the full attendance was, but I was looking on the feed because I was not physically at the game, right, because I can't work 7 days a week. But I was looking at the feed, and the crowd looked pretty good. Keep doing that. Keep showing up. Otherwise, you're going to make that man look crazy. Because, okay, now he done fired this man and y'all still not showing up. Show up, bro. Come to the game. Come support them. And I'll even go on record to say this. Go to the women's game, too. You know why? Because them games been free for like 2 years now. Anybody could walk off the street. Somebody could just be walking down the street and say, hey, what's in this building? At 5 o'clock on a random Tuesday, and could walk into a women's basketball game and would be able to sit down. Show up to that game too. That I ain't gonna go off about that too much, but y'all know what y'all need to do. But that's my take, guys. That's our take. What's yours? How do you feel about the sports media? I know a lot of people always got to say, oh, the media, oh, y'all always stirring the pot. How do you feel? Tell us what you think. Put it down in the comments. Drop it in the chat. All of those good things. All of that. So, Elijah, you got anything else, my man?
No, man. I'm excited about this week. Getting to Christmas. I got one gift right here I'm looking at. I can't open it till wait to Christmas, but I'm ready for Christmas, man. I'm ready to do that. Make sure y'all subscribe, though, so you can get your own gift from the Fitz Podcast. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Subscribe so you get you a gift from the Fitz Podcast.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's December 22nd as we're recording this episode. The episode going to drop on December 23rd. So I don't know when you're going to be watching this, but from me to you, have a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year from the Fitz Take Podcast. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to this point in the video, be sure to like it. Be sure to share it. Be sure to comment under it. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you do, you have a chance to enter to win a $50 gift card. Once we get to 400 subscribers, we will pull names and we will see who gets the 2 gift cards. But you got to subscribe, and then you got to prove that you subscribe to us some kind of way. Screenshot it, something. Figure out how to do that. Y'all smart. Follow myself, Elijah, and my production company, One Way Productions, on all our social media platforms. And if you are a listener, follow us wherever you get your podcast feed from. Every one of them except for Apple. Apple, hit me back. I'm trying to figure this out. We're going on a month now, brother. We trying to get this done. Let's get it together. Get it together. Once again, guys, we greatly appreciate y'all for supporting us and getting us to this point. 2025. We got a lot cooking up for y'all here on the Fitz Take Podcast. So signing out for Elijah Nixon, I'm Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Fitz Take Podcast. Be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. And remember, every episode of the Fitz Take Podcast will air right here on the YouTube channel every Monday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.